podcast starts now. What is up, everyone around the globe? You're listening to StraightioLab from New York City.
And I just want to say I was silencing my phone. That's why my finger was briefly on my phone. I wasn't quickly, sending an email.
George, no one's close watching our podcast. I have to be honest.
I was actually more apologizing.
See?
Interesting that you think I'm addressing our listeners. I'm actually so embodied and in the moment. I was just apologizing to my two friends that are with me in the room.
Okay, well, I'm going to look at my phone to sort of
What the
gauge
hell?
what time it is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that I can sort of moving forward know what time we're working with. So if anyone's mad, if anyone's watching from either in this room or at home, that's why this is my phone.
One of the most stressful things for me is when we were on tour like 2 years ago, sometimes you would be like, can you keep track of the time? And I knew that I needed to look at my watch while we were on stage, but I could not do it subtly. So the people in the audience looked at me looking at my watch while performing, which I think is it's already rude to do that just interpersonally, but to be a professional performer, be on stage and fully look at your watch is maybe legendary status.
I don't think it's that bad.
You don't? Okay.
I think looking at your watch is reasonable. You have to know what time it is.
Well,
we're riffing up there. For crying out loud. It's not like it's a written show.
That's the thing with looking at your watch. It's never actually rude. Sometimes you really do just want to know what time it is, but it has the reputation of being ripping a fart or something.
I think it's like yawning a little bit. It's like yawning while someone's talking, and it's kind of like, I'm not bored.
Totally.
I'm literally tired. It has nothing to do with you.
Okay,
you were saying this.
I'm tired all the time.
I yawn all the time.
The natural way you enter the conversation will be studied for millennia.
And by the way, I don't even know what my camera is.
Because we, our bit normally would be to yell at you and be like, it's not, we haven't brought you in yet. And that would become a whole, it's hilarious.
People love when we yell.
People love when we yell at guests. They love when we get combative. People say we miss it. You guys are being too nice these days. We have all these A-listers on and we have to get back to our roots of sort of berating our friends.
Yeah.
But the way you entered immediately contributed something.
Thank you.
Seamlessly part of the conversation. I was like, it feels wrong to yell.
I know. It felt really wrong.
You can yell. I love yelling. And I don't feel sensitive about it when someone yells at me. No.
Do you come from a yelling family?
I come from a yelling family, yelling house. Yeah. I've really had to learn that yelling's not appropriate.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. Because I don't think it's a big deal, but then it's like some people, when I learned about tone, 2 years ago, it really blew my mind.
What made you learn about tone?
Meeting people from the Midwest.
Yes, that'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
When I moved to LA, I met people from the Midwest, and I felt misread every once in a while. And because they would be like, "Well, I don't want to argue," and I'd be like, "I'm agreeing with you. We agree." I'm enjoying this conversation a lot, and I realized that Or I dated someone who I guess would yell at me a lot, but I never noticed. And someone was like, "She's yelling at you," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't care. I think it's funny."
Yeah, she's literally
hilarious.
Being verbally abusive. And you're like, "Oh, are you Italian?"
I'm like, she's up in arms. It's funny.
Yeah, I would say the two people that have made me really question my tone are Midwestern, sort of Midwestern nice people, and then honestly British people. Because sometimes with British people, they will be so passive aggressive, but it's in their blood. They're not trying to be rude.
Right.
One time, I was taking some sort of oral exam, academic, not medical, and the examiner was British.
Both would be valid.
Mm-hmm.
And I was living in Greece at the time where I went to high school. And I enter the room and I think I'm speaking normally. And she goes sort of very quietly, she's like, "Something I've noticed in Greece is everyone's really loud." Clearly implying that I am being loud upon entering the room. Can you imagine that?
That's really hard.
As I'm yelling into the microphone?
That's really hard.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
It's okay.
Sounds like you were microaggressed.
I was macroaggressed, I would say.
Yeah, I would have a hard time. I would be thinking about that feedback, if you can even call it that, sort of the whole time.
Then I had to go into the oral exam.
Horrifying.
I learned over the last year of working a job that you're not supposed
and congrats.
to. Thank you. You're not supposed to yawn in meetings. I've learned that people get so upset when you're yawning while they're talking in meetings, and it's like, this is boring.
Wait, but with your normal with a group of coworkers?
Yeah.
With the bigwigs or
with either.
Yeah.
Either way, people are saying, "Sam, stop yawning."
You know what you actually have to do? Nod constantly. This is what you have to do at a meeting.
A lot.
Does that stop you from yawning? Or just
it makes you seem like you're agreeing with. And actually, sometimes I'll see it because people do it, and it's very phony. Sometimes I'll see someone nod the entire time I'm saying something, and then when they actually speak up, it's to fully disagree with me. But they're doing it in such a kind way.
Yeah, I like when you're talking to someone and they have that tick where they're mouthing the words along with you. I'm sort of like, I know it seems like you're actively listening, but I feel like you're not.
Yes. And similarly, when someone starts nodding before you make a point, like you'll say something like, you'll be like, the thing is, and they're already yawning. And you're like, or already nodding. You're like, no. Now, even if you keep nodding, I will know you're lying.
I had a friend that would literally like finish every sentence, and would kind of get it wrong, and I'd be like, just wait for me to say it, and then you can respond.
Yeah.
And it honestly made me be like, I can't hang out with this person anymore.
They're struggling to focus.
Also, when you're looking for a word and someone jumps in and they're like, reify. You're like, no, I'm performing being like an intellectual who is looking for a word. I know what I want to say.
If I could just pick a word willy-nilly, I would have picked a word willy-nilly. I'm thinking about what word I want.
I'm thinking hard. Like I'm trying hard to grip onto my thought.
Yeah.
And if you say one thing, it's gone. And it could have been important.
It's also that word is not going to be provoke. It's going to be something more sophisticated than provoke. Like I know the word provoke. That's not the word I'm looking for.
What would it be?
Insight? No, that's actually equally basic as provoke.
Oh my God, I can't believe George just said insight.
Yeah, what's it? But there's a group of verbs. Okay, bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think provoke and incite are two of them.
Yeah.
And they all mean some version of like one thing comes after the other. Provoke, incite, instigate.
Yeah.
Ooh, instigate's a good
Don't you
one.
think? And then they are used almost interchangeably, but it's
and
like
you're
a sign of
synonyms. Sort of,
but they're not exactly synonyms, don't you think? Like instigate and provoke are not. But it's like how you use them is almost like a power move to show how much. It's like using the word dichotomy correctly, like. Or even using the word performative.
Really?
It's one of my comfort ones.
No, it's a real comfort one. It's a real comfort.
And I have some comfort vocab words. And my mom has a really good vocabulary and uses a lot of like weird words, totally. I would say. And so I definitely have my comfort vocab words. And every now and then someone will be like, okay, like you really use that word. And I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Like I'm trying to like shake it up a little bit.
I'm intelligent.
Sorry, I crave more from the world.
Do you know what was huge for me in my 20s? Perpetuate.
Perpetuate. That's an important one.
That's a really
you can
good
sound
20s.
Also sort of like not condescending, but
no, you can sound a little condescending.
You can sound sort of like or like kind of holier than thou. Like it's like I wouldn't want to perpetuate
exactly
because you're mostly trying not to perpetuate.
You're removing yourself.
If you are pro perpetuation, you need to leave.
Look in the mirror.
You're literally Donald Trump.
Don't perpetuate.
I hate when people perpetuate. I say walk out the door.
One of my pet peeves: perpetuating.
Same. I'm against, but then sometimes I'm doing it.
And that's knowing that is like your superpower.
Yeah, that's exact. No, perpetuating and knowing that you're perpetuating is a superpower.
Yeah,
and that's the topic of my new book.
You have to stop.
Don't hate, perpetuate.
Don't hate, perpetuate. I have a confession.
Go.
My ear has not popped since the airplane last night.
That's tough.
This has never happened to me in my life. It feels like I'm wearing headphones, and it's crazy.
And you've tried pulling, you've tried blowing, I've
tried blowing. I've not tried pulling.
Sometimes I pull the ears like themselves. I don't know if you could blow and pull at the same time, but the pull feels good sometimes. Does it at least feel good to pull?
It actually feels amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it doesn't happen fully. Pulling is like brief relief.
Yeah. Like you'd have to hold it down the whole time.
Yeah, you'd have to just be like, hey guys, welcome to my wedding. Like
hey,
I do.
Everybody, how's it going? Yeah, we should talk about what we were talking about before.
Well, obviously. Mm-hmm. Also, please welcome Taylor Ortega.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Taylor Ortega.
Hey. Thank you so much for having me.
So we were talking about how I'm getting gay married this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, by the time you, the listener, are listening to this, Sam will be married.
Yeah.
And but we were talking about how there's a flood of gay weddings, which we don't know if is that a trend alert or are we just a different age?
I think I have no idea. Oh no, my brain went to a crazy place.
What is it?
Well, okay, so I don't know how online y'all are or whatever, but like a lot of the lesbian pop stars are like
becoming straight.
Yeah, they're becoming straight.
Yeah.
And in some ways it feels gay, JoJo
to be straight, yeah.
And in some ways it feels totally trad, Fletcher, but like they're becoming straight. And I do wonder if it's like, if there's no possible way for you to become straight, if like kind of being like, well, we'll do some of the cultural
Getting married is
things.
gay guy version of becoming straight.
Yeah.
That's such a good point.
Participating,
I mean, like family, come see it. You can come see it.
Yeah, come see it. Come see it. And they're going to love that.
They're going to be like, we're seeing it.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, damn, it's really like that, huh?
Yeah. Well, there's also a way in which 30s are 20s for the LGBTQ plus community.
Of course.
So all these milestones, not just marriage, but like deciding to focus on your career.
Mhm.
Straight people have been doing that at like 24.
Right.
They're saying, I'm going to open that bank account.
Yeah.
You don't think hitting the open mics hard was focusing on your career?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, well.
Well, no, that's more chasing your dreams.
Right.
And chasing your dreams and focusing on your career, people think are the same thing, but they're diametrically opposed.
They're diametrically opposed. Thank you for not perpetuating that.
Yeah. No worries.
You had a chance to perpetuate and you opted not to.
I didn't want to. I didn't feel right.
Wow.
I do think you're way too young to get married.
No, you're a child bride.
You're way too young.
Thank
like when
you
you said that, I was like, oh my
No,
God,
it's not
are you
right.
sure you're ready?
It's not right.
Yeah.
There is also, it's one thing that it is the big thing with gay marriage too, is it's like every gay guy on earth is in an open relationship.
Yes.
So there is like the weight is different in a way that I'm like, I'm not sure how to like grapple. Like the normal language around a wedding is sort of like confusing to apply.
Yes.
Well, what do you say?
It's both. It's paradoxical.
Oh,
not to perpetuate using the term paradoxical. So on the one hand, it is quote unquote less of a big deal to get married if you're open because you're not actually changing anything about your behavior. On the other hand, considering marriage is like not a necessary thing for you to do, it's a bigger deal because you could just as well not do it. So it's a real like choice. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that I think is what's sort of confusing about it. Everyone like is there at the wedding and doesn't know how big of a deal it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's if they're straight, that's homophobic.
Yeah,
they should be
totally.
assuming it's just as big a deal.
But even gay people will be like, congrats?
Yeah, well, sure.
So do you guys like want kids? Is that what you're doing?
Like, tell me why.
Or is it like
Tell
a
me what
tax
you're up
thing?
to. Yeah.
I mean, it's probably feels like absolutely amazing to be like my husband this, my husband that. You know, I think that rocks.
Do you romanticize that?
I never ever did in my whole life. And I guess I still don't. Like, this is horrible, but when I think of a wedding for myself, I'm just like, oh, that sounds like I can't plan a trip. I'm going to plan a wedding. Like, that does sound really daunting and like crazy. But when I just think about, like, okay, me and my partner, like the very moment getting married, like that's sweet. I'd romanticize that with the like individual person, yes.
Yeah.
But when I try to make it practical in my mind, I go, oh my God.
Well, I'll tell you one
hard.
thing in terms of the trip comparison. I think it's easier to plan a wedding than a trip because it's where you live. Like, pick your favorite bar.
Right.
You're done.
Well, it's more like a solo show than a trip.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're doing like
I'll
a
do it.
if you're getting married on the Amalfi Coast, like, absolutely, that's going to be
That's
hard.
gonna go ahead and be tough.
Yeah. I wouldn't even know where to begin, to be honest. I have no one to recommend.
No.
I don't even know the right venues.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the Amalfi Coast.
I would rather die than go to the Amalfi Coast and get like married at like a venue like everyone's like, oh, it's so like tired. Like that place is so tired.
The bride before you leaves and she looks exactly like you. And you're like, fuck.
She seems more basic.
She's
and
like,
she doesn't understand the ways. Like, I look basic right now, but like actually in my life I'm cool. So that's
that would be
hard.
really, really painful.
You said something though that was interesting, which is like the idea that we would want to say the phrase "my husband." Here's my take on that. I think the only appropriate phrasing of my husband or my wife is a woman saying "my wife." That is the only time I don't. I'm serious. That is the only time I don't cringe because straight woman saying "my husband," I'm like, you're trapped.
I literally get a little nervous.
Straight guy saying "my wife," I'm like, don't talk about her like that.
Yeah. You're
and then
property.
Gay guy saying "my husband," I'm like, are you Republican?
Yeah.
But a woman saying "my wife," you're like, finally, I feel safe.
For me, it's like I'm wanting to like code switch when I say boyfriend and husband.
Yeah.
Because like, say I'm in if I'm with like people at this job, for example, who aren't like comedians, like more exec types, I want to be like my husband. So they're like, oh, you're not just some
You're
floozy.
a serious person.
Yeah, totally.
And then like, or like in a hospital, I want to be like, this is my husband. So it's like, you have to take him seriously.
Right.
But with my girls, I want to be like, this is my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And of course, I could leave him at any second.
Of course.
I'm young.
But then I will say, you'll notice this. After you get married, you just like simply can't say my boyfriend because it's inaccurate.
You're not allowed?
You just like can't. You have to do partner or something. It's
my
so
guy.
it would like it feels so crazy to say my boyfriend. And so what I have ended up doing is like unintentionally almost rolling my eyes while saying my husband every time I say it. And then and people are like, do you not like him? I'm like, no, like I love him, but husband.
Like, we don't know. We all have husbands.
Yeah.
When I was like 7, the idea of saying my boyfriend, like I'm like, someday I'm going to say my boyfriend and I'm going to be like 40. Like, when you're a little kid and you have no idea what age is.
Yeah.
I just thought the most adult thing you could do is have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Totally.
Not even husband. Didn't even cross my mind. I was like, imagine a woman with a boyfriend. Like, that is just so classy.
Here's a question for you.
Classy.
You meet a woman, she's 55.
Yeah.
She says, my boyfriend. What are you thinking?
What am I thinking? Let me really think. It really depends on what I think her vibe is. It
it's
really
like,
depends on what I think her vibe
fabulous?
is.
I
That's the thing.
She at least parties.
I know. If she parties, I'm sort of like, you've never been married. Or you've been married like 5 times. It's like one or the other. My boy, it depends on what city she lives in, what kind of shoes she's wearing.
Yes. It's a referendum on your own biases and misogyny and like, because sometimes, like we were talking about gray hair.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see someone with gray hair and without realizing it, you're having ageist thoughts.
Yeah.
It's the same with a 55-year-old woman saying boyfriend. Suddenly, you don't even realize that you're like spinster whore. Bitch, stupid bitch.
I'm
old
like,
bitch.
don't tell anyone stuff like that. Keep that to yourself.
I have obviously always wanted to ironically use the word husbear. I think that is one of the funniest gay terms.
God.
You're introducing that to me.
No, I love that.
You're just...
It is
it's one of those terms that only exist in Instagram captions.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So what type of gay person would use that?
So like a bear like visiting Dallas would be like, had the most amazing time with the husbear in Dallas. Like,
Okay. And but
they live in Atlanta.
But yeah.
They live in Atlanta.
That's
they're
cute.
visiting Dallas.
Is your husband? Will your husband be a husbear? Technically, no.
He'll be a little bearish.
A little bearish.
A
Okay.
husbear.
It's interesting because Sam is known for loving bears.
It's true.
Okay.
I would say your husband is not like textbook definition bear.
No, he transcends category.
He does transcend category.
He's sort of he's a larger twink. We've called him because he's hairless. And a bear usually is hairy.
Thank you for the elephant in the room is that he's hairless.
He's hairless.
Yeah.
He's hairless.
Okay.
And he has sort of like dream boy hair, like on his head.
Oh, so he's not bald.
He's like teen heartthrob. He really especially when he does his hair a certain way, like looks like a teen heartthrob in a, not WB. I'm aging myself.
Yeah.
CW show. In a CW show.
Thank God. Really close.
Spinster. Whore.
Thank God you have a husband right now.
Literally. I'd be undateable.
Yikes.
But
okay,
he's
that's
like,
nice.
But he's still bigger, so it's that combo.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. What? I don't know that there's not that's crazy that there wouldn't be a term for that yet.
Yeah. I mean, language has still so much room to grow.
Right. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I just feel like gays are so quick to label each other.
Totally.
We're sort of jumping at it constantly, so that actually shocks me that there's like a type of hot guy that doesn't have a name yet.
I think it's rarer than you would think to be hairless. And
what happens to him? Sort of what?
It's like, I'm like, what is going on there?
Yeah. Do you
He's
think
going to be annoyed at all?
I can't relate to any of this.
Me?
What?
Oh, Misha.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not annoyed.
He's like, don't describe my body
perpetuate the myth that I'm
annoyed.
Wait, also that either perpetuating the myth or the narrative. If you're perpetuating a narrative, you should be in prison.
What else is there to perpetuate?
I think narrative, myth, perpetuating the idea. I think you perpetuate the idea.
Yeah.
A bit pedestrian, but you can do it.
Ooh, pedestrian's good. Pedestrian's really good. Should we do our first segment?
I think we should.
Amazing.
Taylor, our first segment is called Straight Shooters, and in this segment, we're going to ask you a series of rapid-fire questions to gauge your familiarity with and complicity in straight culture.
Okay.
It's basically this thing or this other thing, and the only rule is you can't ask any follow-up questions or we'll scream at you, which will feel so natural to you.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah, you'll probably love
That'll really
that.
motivate me.
Sicko. Okay. Taylor. Failing the CAPTCHA or preparing the matcha?
I do need to ask a follow-up question. I'm thinking what's straight. I can't.
No.
Okay, failing the CAPTCHA.
Okay, losing the thread or making the bed?
Making the bed.
The end is near or your Uber is here?
Your Uber is here.
LGBTQ or LMNOP?
LGBTQ.
Being sexist or supporting Brexit?
Being sexist. Obviously.
Vivica A. Fox or Smokey the Bear?
Vivica A. Fox.
Baked beans, ripped jeans, or Howard Dean's famous scream?
Baked beans.
False prophets or wall sockets?
Ooh.
False prophets.
Wow. So we rate our guest performance on a scale of 0 to 1,000 doves.
Okay. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I know this.
I'm like really bullish on this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Please lead the way.
I think this is like over 900.
Wow.
And I have reasons.
Okay,
Okay,
please.
I would love to hear.
I think you entered this space of like sitcom level facial expressions
Okay.
that I had not seen up to this point.
Got it.
And it was, you were literally being like the bitchy sister. And like, not even Stevens, because actually I think she could have used more facial expressions, Ren Stevens.
Well,
I would say it was more of a Chelsea on That's So Raven type performance.
Thank you.
You were really like showing a lot with your face, and I hope people are watching rather than listening to get the full experience.
Thank you. I've been told I'm very expressive.
Yes, and I actually think, especially in this game, it really worked for you because obviously this game is us doming our guest. Like, we're the ones saying,
I got nervous. Yeah.
we're literally being like, look at these funny rhymes we wrote, and you have nothing to do. Like, all you have to do is pick one that we already said.
Mhm.
So you found yourself trapped. You were like, how do I make this performance more impactful? And you were like, I have to go face. I have to go all face.
Yeah. I'm a more controlling person than I want to admit. And at the end of the day, I love to over-explain. And when I can't, I guess I'm using my face to do it. Because I started out being like, what is more straight? And then I found myself kind of just letting myself get lost in the game.
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. You know, it's sort of about transcending labels and,
Yeah.
Totally.
and just, you know, being you.
I said, I have to quiet my mind for a minute and just like actually pick whatever my internal needle is pointing to.
And I think not to perpetuate a narrative,
Please.
the narrative of this game to me is like in real time realizing binaries are not good.
They're
Because you
not
think it's about
good.
choosing one or the other. It's actually about what facial expression you make while speaking. Like, it doesn't matter which one you choose.
And
You
I
know
don't
what mean?
know what, like, obviously none of us know what our own facial expressions look like.
That's true.
It's just so,
That's actually
hard.
really scary.
Yeah, it is.
I've noticed that I have such a go-to that is not something I'm proud of.
What's
and
your go-to?
something that I wish I could break is I go like,
That's cute. Wait, that's cute. It makes you look like a cartoon.
it's very cartoony and I can't stop. Like
I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can. You could do it. I can't do that.
You can't do a sad face? Yeah, that's good.
I don't
You
know.
look like St. Haim when she's playing the bass.
Playing the bass. That's what it feels like. I know. I think I'm pushing it too much.
Yeah.
You kind of.
What if that was what if your default expression was St. Haim?
That would be tough. Do you ever think she tried to change?
I actually think it's the opposite. I think
She
leaned in.
I
she
agree.
thinks she's so. First of all, we love Haim and want them to come on the podcast. I just want to make that clear.
Let's start there.
But no, I actually think, as we've said before, she's a comedian at heart. And
Mhm.
I think she loves that she's the funny one.
I saw
She's
it
going
recently.
big.
I saw the bass face recently, and I said, "Oh, she's leaned into it."
It has gotten larger.
100%.
Yes.
Well, the venues have gotten larger, so you have to project.
Yeah, no, the
Yeah.
smile has to be truly like from ear to ear. She's like the movie Smile.
Smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they should do the movie Smile, but instead of the smile, it's behind
It's her
base
base
face.
face. And everyone's.
Are you familiar with the Haim sisters generally?
Yeah, this is really, when I first heard them, I saw that it was me seeing them live. They were opening, this was 2011, I think. They were opening for Mumford and Sons. And I was
Wow.
a paid ticket holder to that event. And you know what? Whatever. The songs were good. I don't care. And
Totally.
Calling yourself a paid ticket holder makes it seem like you were paid to go there.
Yeah, you were a crisis actor.
I found it on Craigslist. They were like, please, we need people to come to this Philly Mumford and Sons show. No, I was so excited to go. Yeah, it was 2011 or 2012. And I was like, who are these girls playing all these drums?
Yes, the drums were, because I saw them in like, probably after you, unfortunately, but like 2013, 2014. And the drum break,
yes,
I was like, these girls are going somewhere.
Very impressive.
We have a game that no one likes where
it's flop.
It's like Fuck, Marry, Kill, but it's 3 things and you have to say which one is Alana, which one is Danielle, and which one is ST.
Okay.
And of course, now that I brought it up, we have to give one.
Yeah,
to
you
Taylor.
should give
Okay,
one.
here's one. Okay.
Yeah.
Regular Coke, Diet Coke, Coke Zero.
Fuck, that's really good.
Okay, to me, I'm just going to go with my gut.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm questioning it. No, I'm questioning it. I think SD is obviously Coke Zero, and that's my most obvious.
Yes,
totally.
Yes.
And then I was kind of flip-flopping on these. But I do think actually that I was going to go the other way, but I think Danielle is regular Coke.
I agree.
I completely agree.
Yes. And then Alana is Coke Zero. I mean,
Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Alana's definitely Diet Coke.
And it's based on like not only the product itself and the reception, but also the cans. I'm basing it a little off the cans.
Based on the visual can.
I'm basing it a little. You have to. They have such a strong.
And I actually think those 3 cans correspond to how the 3 sisters are always dressed like a little alike, but with their own personality.
Yes.
Like they would, if they were soft drinks, they would literally look like that.
They would have to do it that way.
Yeah.
Agree.
Like similar palette, but one is a short skirt, one is a pant, one is like asymmetrical skirt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Tina Knowles.
Well, they're very. Tina Knowles actually designs all their costumes. A lot of people don't know
Tina
this.
Knowles does
Tina Knowles designed that little bikini top they wore when they did the dance that everyone loved.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was in a rush that day.
Tina wanted each of them to be different, but that day she was like, I cannot.
I'm out of fabric.
I have to do the entire Renaissance tour and these fucking Haim sisters.
She's like, okay, you're just gonna match.
You're just gonna match.
Should we get into the topic?
Yes.
So tell us what topic you've brought today.
I would like to talk about game nights. I feel like the more gay my community has become, my circle has become, and moving to LA, it became even like I would say 10 million times gayer. I'm not really going to game nights anymore. I'm sort of not, and I didn't know if that's because I was single for a while or what it was, but I do think it's like gay people, they're not doing game nights.
When you were going to game nights, describe it for us.
It was sort of like if it was very much a couples thing.
Okay.
And it would usually be like hosted by like a straight couple who had like a nice apartment. They lived together.
Uh-huh. You were in a couple at the time?
At the time I was in a couple, yeah.
With what gender of person?
It was a lesbian relationship, but what I will say is it was I've been trying to describe, my partner is 6 years younger than me, and I've been trying to describe to them lately how there were like no lesbians in New York in 2018 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, you're literally so right.
And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, there weren't any lesbians. And it's like, if you weren't here, you wouldn't know. But like, there weren't any. So it's kind of like, yeah, we were hanging out with a lot of straight couples and maybe like one other lesbian couple, And I think that was a time where, I was going to a lot of organized, like, I do think like like organized hangs are very much a thing. And games happen to be an easy way to do that.
Wow, we could do an hour on how there were no lesbians in 2018.
Well, it's something where you're like, I fully think that is true.
Yeah.
And it's like, but there's no way to prove it. Like,
well,
I can't prove it.
Here's what you remember this, like a running joke, especially when we were touring, was like, I am always staying with my lesbian couple of friends in every city. Because I, for whatever reason, have a lot of lesbian couple of friends. It's like one is in Boston, one is in Berkeley, one was in Philly or whatever. And I was like, wait, if I was out of town, what lesbian couple would I stay with in New York? There are none.
Yeah.
Whereas, I've said that New York is for gay guys and LA is for lesbians.
It is.
Yes.
And it's so wild.
It's so true. And now there's like a little bit more, like Gen Z has really like shaken things up a little bit.
Totally, finally.
Yeah.
But when I came out, I feel like me and like I would say a handful of friends came out, and it felt like, wow, like everyone's lesbian now. And it's so small in comparison to like even today. But like before I came out, truly, there was like one couple absolutely holding it down for years. There was like one lesbian couple, and I'm like, what were they doing?
And it was Ellen and Portia.
It was Ellen and Portia. And I go, what were they doing? Who were they hanging out with?
Yeah.
George Bush. Now we know. But like,
right, totally.
now we know. But it really is. Yeah, it was really crazy. So yeah, we were hanging out with, and I love my straight couple friends. I don't,
of course,
remember like who they were, what they're up to now, but. Maybe they're all gay now, honestly.
A huge part of your 20s is going on group trips with straight couples.
Yeah.
Upstate.
Oh my God, because that's the only place to go.
Yeah. I almost find it kind of sad because you're like, you do want to make it work. You're like, so we have different sexualities. Who cares?
Who cares? It's the 90s.
It's the 90s. Everyone's bisexual. and then you're like, no, it's like an inherent difference. Like the things that we want to do are so
no, you're at the trip and you're like, who cares? And they're like, so we're gonna make lasagna. Everyone get in line. Like you do the sauce, and you're like, whoa.
And when you're on a trip with gay people, it's like, yes, people are still making lasagna, but they're also like showing each other their top surgery scars.
Yes, they're showing each other their top surgery scars, and also
choices are wildly different.
And poppers are being passed around at the lasagna table when you are like passing the food from one person to the other.
It's also like there's gonna be nudity in some capacity, and with the straight couples, it's like, no, we're going to bed now.
That would be. Oh my God! If there was like a nudity on a straight couple trip, the way that would be. Tonally just so inappropriate. I would never speak to
everyone's families.
Here's what happens on a straight couple trip. It's nighttime. You're rewatching Anchorman, let's say. Mm-hmm. Someone goes, I'm going to bed because I have to wake up early tomorrow for a run.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have to wake up early for a run.
Whereas, especially a gay guy trip, they are also waking up early to go for a run, but you don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
You're like,
you had
shocking. So much to drink last night.
And I don't like that when that's happening either.
It's like really scary.
I don't support that either. But agree. I think it's like, and also it's like, is there even, I take back what I said about lasagna. I don't know that there's dinner.
Yeah. Or it's like, really minimal tacos, like one piece of tempeh on a tortilla.
Yes, a cabbage salad.
Yeah. So, what kinds of games are we talking when we talk game night?
So, I do think like you had said that you had spoken sort of about like tabletop games, which I do think I think that still happens. I get a little. I don't like having the rules explained to me. I agree. I like to play. I'm a competitive person, but. I got to sit through the rules. It's just kind of like, will I ever learn this? Yeah. But then more frequently, also Jackbox. Jackbox culture, Jackbox games, which I do. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I am not, this is not coming from a critical place because if I have to hang out with like a couple people's boyfriends, it is sort of like, there's probably gonna be maybe one that I actually like vibe with.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like, yeah, we need an icebreaker.
Totally.
We need an icebreaker.
Yeah. And there's no shame in that. Like, I would rather have the icebreaker and be like, I cannot believe I'm playing Uno than literally be talking about the weather.
Even on a gay trip, I find that like when you're on day 3, it's like bring out Jackbox. Like we need something to like.
Oh, I'm playing Skippo like all the time with lesbians.
Yeah.
But we're sort of doing it like I'm at a bar and we're kind of like, do we want to do a round? You know, it's kind of like, do you want to do a quick Skippo or something? But I think an organized game night is a little bit like I'm bringing like a little 6-pack and we're going and I don't really know everybody and we're all gonna get to know each other sort of. And none of them are drinking games. Which is fine.
I actually had an experience recently where I was watching, what's Benny's show called? Overcompensating.
Yeah.
I was watching Overcompensating, and they were playing some either flip cup or beer pong or something. And I really shocked myself because I was like, legitimate. I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
No, I crave it so bad.
I was like, wait, I love flip cup.
Yeah.
Did you play it in college?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I want to do that so bad.
Yeah.
There are other things that are like triggering because they remind me of just like where I was at 21 or 19 or whatever. But for whatever reason, I really have only positive associations with drinking games.
I have such positive associations with both flip cup and beer pong. Yeah. And it should be triggering. It should be like, I was at a frat. I was so like, didn't know who I was.
Yeah, it's a bad time in our lives, but I did really like the games. Well, but they happen casually too. It's sort of like, a party's going on. Not everybody has to play the game. I don't like we have to play the game.
I agree. You know what else
That's so true.
You know, some people are we're playing a little flip cup. Some people are having a conversation over here. Some people are, that feels nice to me.
It has the air of sports without you having to actually be athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think you would think, oh, drinking games are so straight, it's so fratty. Here's the thing. I'm just as good at flip cup as a football player.
Right.
How many things can I say that about that are like masculine seeming?
Totally.
Well, and similarly, there's something, the fondness I have for it is because I was like friends with the broiest guy on earth. Like they, for that like half hour, were
and they were like game recognized game.
Yeah.
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 And
they would maybe put their arm around you like this and be like, my guy.
Oh, it's all I ever wanted.
We were sort of having different, I think, experiences.
Yeah. Wait, and then we would
playing flip cup or something.
Fuck them. Yeah.
I guess it is kind of like flirty to be like we're playing flip cup together, or like we're playing, or like I don't know how do you play this?
Yeah, I'm such a dumb idiot.
Can you throw for me or something?
I think part of the board game thing is there's a built-in like safety. Like it's sort of like this night will only get so crazy. Like I kind of like this is something I struggle with Los Angeles, which this podcast is half about, where every night, like before you even get there, you know what the end time is.
11.
Yeah.
It's 11.
And it's just like a clear, like, and so that's sort of why people are like, well, why would I even go? Because I know it's going to end at 11.
It's ending at 11.
Yeah. And so like a board game is that all the time, where it's like, this is going to be a structured 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go home. And I hate knowing that.
I live with, in LA with a friend who is, and I know she tries to play a cool game, a little game obsessed, and definitely, I would say competition obsessed, And so people don't know, but when she brings out a game, I see that glint in her eye that she's barely containing sort of an incredibly competitive spirit. And I don't mind when she pulls out a game. I will say, though, that one time we were here in New York, which she has never lived here. She was like a Chicago person who moved to LA. Everything's ending really early, okay? Yeah. But this girl has the spirit to absolutely persevere through days and days and days, no sleep, okay? The most active person I've ever met. And so when we would come to New York on these little short trips, it was like we were out till like 6 a.m. I went, I didn't do that when I lived here. I don't need to be out that late, And we were up one day at a friend's house, and it was 4 a.m., and I was like, it's time to go, to pack it up. And she's like, let's do one quick round of Anomia.
No.
One quick. And we did. Everyone was down for it. And listen, I got my head in the game. I got into it. We played a little, but I was sort of like, that's so bold to bring out a game at 4 a.m. and to have the her influence, to have the influence and the sway to get people to agree with that, no question. That people went, yeah.
I mean, that is shocking. That's impressive.
She's a very persuasive person.
I can tell.
But I'm sort of like that. That to me reads more gay. I'm like,
she's gay.
Yeah, like that. It's like,
folks, she's gay.
She's gay.
I think what's straight
I
about,
hope she's out.
You're outing her.
Yeah.
The issue with what makes game night straight is the obsession with structure and end time and like this idea, this very sort of like parent-like idea. Like, I just want everyone to have fun.
Yeah.
It's like bringing out juice boxes for everyone. It's like being the mom after the soccer game.
And I like, that's comforting.
Yeah, it's comforting. And it's also a fear of the unknown. Like, it's like, what could happen if we start talking? Suddenly we're talking politics. We can't have that, so we have to play Monopoly.
Right. And I will say, though, there's always one boyfriend or husband who really cares about the rules.
Yeah.
And I'm really competitive, but I also am, I really think I strike sort of an amazing balance of someone who follows the rules. I don't cheat, but I like to have fun. And if I notice someone kind of cut in a corner, it's like, I want to have fun. I actually don't care if I win. I'm winning a lot, but I want to have a good time. I want to have a fun night. I am mature enough to understand that it's sort of like barking at someone that we don't really know that well is like a crazy thing to do. And it's going to like shift the vibe in sort of like a treacherous extent. And I think that, I think there's always like one boyfriend who's kind of like, can we go back? What do we, and I'm sort of like, I don't know you like that. Can we just hide this part of your personality?
The way that this has happened to me in a crazy, like, I'm just trying to play this game, and someone's like, no, and I'm like, I'm just trying to play the game. I'm. This is my first time. I'm learning the rules. Like,
and what will happen should I win unjustly? What will really happen? Like, who's gonna do what to me?
So this is interesting. Games are combine two things that are actually kind of opposite. Rules a sense of play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the straight to gay spectrum.
Yeah.
It's like, are you playing, is game night a rules-based game night, or is game night a sense of play-based game night?
Yes.
Wow.
Because I think you can have like a really fun, like playing Quiplash and everyone writing, you know, literally every single entry is the F slur.
Yes.
That's a sense of play.
Yes. And I like Jackbox for that. It kind of keeps, like, the rule, you can't cheat, really.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And yet, some
people cheat.
find a way to get upset at literally Quiplash.
Well,
to be like, mine was funnier.
I know.
And I'm like, you need
and I have that feeling sometimes where I go, mine was a better joke, personally.
No, when people
really
win
were.
Quiplash because of anti-humor, I get so upset. I'm like, I put all the work into doing this wordplay, and you won because yours is like poop.
Yeah.
Because you put like a smiley emoji.
A smiley emoji?
Yes, you're
Get
doing sort of-
real.
and I'm kind of doing both. I won't lie. Like I'm really reading the room, and I'm going, what will win me this?
Yeah,
Well, of
folks,
course,
I'll do
you
what it takes
gotta.
to win.
You gotta.
Right. So I'll do that. I don't care. If I start to see that working, I'm changing my strategy.
Yeah.
Ideally, the whole group, you know, it has more of an improv mentality, and everyone finds a similar voice, but not always.
No. This is like so sad that this is a memory I return to a lot. But years ago, I was dating this guy, and he took me to play Quiplash games with his mod team, and I was absolutely murdering.
Yeah.
Okay, I was killing, and people were like full body laughing at and I was getting
Who's
so
this
many
cool chick?
points. And I was just kind of like, and I'm not sort of seeking validation in those ways anymore, obviously, but I remember at the time it felt amazing. Like my face was probably fully flushed. Like it's really bad. And he dumped me. Can you believe?
Well, obviously, men are threatened by a powerful
power.
and
That
funny
actually
and
makes
smart
a lot of
woman.
sense.
Yeah.
Do you know, if you didn't want him to dump you, you should have been like, I don't know, pink.
I know. I said everything I possibly could to prevent that from happening. Are you kidding? I told you having a boyfriend was like paramount for
Of
me. I
course, of
really was not
course.
about
For
to
us
let that.
too.
Yeah.
The times Misha, my soon-to-be husband, is like good at Quiplash. He's like a funny guy, but comedians will get upset because they're like, "Well, I do this."
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that is the issue with Quiplash is sometimes if it's not to get too in the weeds, sometimes if it's a mixed comedian, non-comedian group, it actually can be even more detrimental than straight people making lasagna.
Right.
Like, we're talking friendships are going to be ruined.
Yeah.
yeah,
It really reminds you, and I say this all the time, and it's one of the most annoying things that I say. It's that like we don't even really know who the audience is, do we? You know, we think of the audience as each other, but no. There's a whole audience out there, okay, they're not participating in making art. They're just there to enjoy it, and what they're laughing at, I have no idea.
very different.
I'll never know.
Yeah, what are they laughing at?
Who knows? Who knows?
Let's think.
No,
Are they laughing at Estee's comedy routine that she does?
They don't
think
know
she's
who,
not a
They don't know who
They don't know
Esty
who
is.
Esty is.
They don't
Well,
know who
let's
Esty is.
start there.
This is actually something we've realized more and more is
This is
that
part of
no
why-
one knows.
this is
who-
part of why people hate that segment.
Yeah, people hate that
Right.
segment because they're like, who are they again?
We did
Well,
one-
by now-
we compared the like casual French fast casual French restaurants to the Haim sisters,
Pret a manger, Paris baguette, au bon pain.
That's way harder than
and
what you
people
gave
were
me.
like, "No one knows what you're talking about." Like,
We're
Well,
sort
that's
of
also
like,
the restaurants. I think it's like that's very New York, right? Or like,
but don't you think
It's
we're
the
not doing
restaurants.
like, you know, Balthazar and the Odeon? Like, you have au bon pain in Boston.
But like, do you?
Boston is another major metropolis
Okay,
you're
you're right.
naming.
To answer your question, you do. I've been to one. I
You
guess
have
what I
to
mean
name a
is like
city without
they're
an
very like
equinox.
mall and airport places. Like we're
Oh,
not, you know,
true.
we're not doing like actually like a French restaurant.
Yeah,
You know what? Okay, I have to ask this question.
please.
The thing with the game night, ever since childhood, I have fantasized, of course, about sort of we're playing strip poker. We're
Yeah.
playing like
I'm glad you brought up strip poker.
Yeah.
You think like LGBTs across this great nation would be embracing sort of strip gameplay, and yet never in my life has this come about.
Well, sometimes I do find, like, I feel like once you get into your 30s, you're starting to like cross back into like, now that's not appropriate anymore.
Yeah.
But I will find in like be in like full queer friend groups, sometimes, maybe this is getting older, but like sometimes I go, this is getting a little scary how comfortable we're getting. Like, this is actually getting a little scary how everyone can't kiss or something. Slow down, you know. I find myself getting more like kind of normie. But then if you take it, but I've come full circle because when I was in, say, like middle school or something, if I was at a party, very rarely, where people were playing spin the bottle or whatever, I was panicking.
No, for sure. My first kiss was spin the bottle.
Wow.
And many is. I think that's kind of so cute and romantic now.
I agree.
At the time, I was like, it can't be that. But like,
I know.
Then I didn't get kissed till I was 15. So it's like jump in when you get the chance.
15 is not that old.
Yeah, seriously.
I had my chance in 8th grade, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
8th grade is 13?
Yeah, I guess 13, 14.
My first kiss was in 8th grade.
Wow.
Amazing. That's cool. That's really cool.
Mine was 9th grade. So I'm sort of right between the middle.
You guys, I was 15, but I was in 10th grade. Like, that's crazy. Like, I was starting to get socially weird.
Yeah, no, you should not tell that.
People were starting to like talk to me in a different way where I went, I'm missing out. Literally.
Spencer bitch.
Where I'm like missing out on something and people can tell. And that was getting scary. So I fixed it, but it was crazy.
Thank God.
Here's my theory about strip poker and spin the bottle, actually.
Okay.
The straight thing is because you're so terrified of nudity, intimacy, whatever, you have to make a game of it and you have to like play with your own fears about it. Yeah. Whereas the reason gay people don't play strip poker is because they're already like making eyes at the person they want to fuck, going into the other room and having sex.
Yeah.
While
true.
everyone else
There's
is
not
just...
really the necessity for it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like because the potential exists so much, like I was not really in straight spaces being like, yeah, I would fuck a bunch of people here. Like, no, I wouldn't.
Totally.
Like, you're just, they disgust me kind of vibes. And so if I was in a room full of like a lot of my queer friends, like I can't tell you how many times it's like my brain is just putting up a boundary. If I were to think about it for more than 2 seconds, the answer is always like, yeah.
Totally.
Sure. Like, so the potential for sex exists in a way that you actually have to, you can't be playing spin the bottle and stuff all the time. You can't be like making it so easy that all of a sudden everyone's having sex with each other.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The food platter will go to waste.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And that's another thing is that queer people are, food platter made me think of this, queer people are having legitimate sex parties.
Yeah.
You know?
We have this, our house right now, we're in this back house and it's gorge. And we had like a small pool gathering. We have a pool that we only share with our landlord. It's Gorgina. And we had like 7 gay guys over. And everyone's question was, do you have sex parties here? Do you have sex parties here?
Right.
And it was like, wait, when did this become so normal?
They're like, would you want to host? Would you feel comfortable hosting?
And now it's all I can think about. I'm like, well, we need to have a sex party here. We need to host.
Should we kind of host? I know the last time I had friends go to a sex party like in LA, I was like, oh my God, like I have to get invited to that. Like what is going on? And then when they recounted it back to me, I said, oh, never mind.
I'm good.
Actually sounds.
I know. Okay. My FOMO of sex-related things I'm not interested in is at an all-time high. People will describe something to me and I'll be like, that is not for me. That is literally not my kink. That is not my preference. Why was I not invited?
My big fear, exactly. I want to be invited so bad for my fantasy of it. But then my biggest fear in a group sex scenario is making anyone feel bad that I don't want to have sex with them, as if everyone's dying to have sex with me. Yeah, but I'm like, I truly am like, my biggest fear is like, I can't even be in the space because like, what if there's someone I don't want to have sex with and I have to be like, like
sometimes
horrible.
It's like animal brain, I think, to like almost pick someone you don't want to have sex with. To be like, well, I of course want to have sex with everyone except you. And I'm like, once I decide I don't want to have sex with that person, it's like it's over. I can't.
Well, because that makes them forbidden. You made them forbidden, so then that makes them hot to you.
Literally. And then why did you have such a big reaction? Why?
Yes.
Is it because you want to have sex with them?
Right. It's actually the bigness of the reaction rather than whether it's positive or negative.
Yeah.
It's like suddenly that person is instilled with a certain light.
Yes.
That is now radiating.
Like, actually, do they make me really horny?
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of people that I can't even see. Like, I can't even see them, you know? Those are the people I'm probably not going to have sex with. But it's like someone who I'm literally like, ugh! I'm sort of like, all right, well, hold on.
Yeah.
Is it just like, am I being judgmental that they're wearing a harness?
Totally.
Does that kind of turn me on a little?
Yeah. Okay. Here's the other thing. Okay, New York versus LA, what this podcast is mostly about.
Yeah.
In New York, sex parties are like in some warehouse somewhere.
Ugh, I know.
People in LA asking me if I host parties. It's because they're all house parties.
So this is why I paused when you said that, because I was like reformulating my mind. I was like, to host, I understand that people also host in New York, but there's something so 70s about hosting in your apartment. That's so like key party or something.
Yeah.
But I guess in LA, you just have to go to someone's house.
The problem, though, is that when I imagine that, I'm imagining like it feels like you're at someone's house, and it feels, though it is not, it feels spontaneous. Because like, yeah, you can't have 30 people or something at your house and not have a little consent talk and like a here are the rules and like here's what's going on. Like you have to kind of, I guess, do that. But of course that it almost feels like it's like, oh, you're ruining my fantasy of the spontaneity. And when I had a friend explaining it to me, they were like, yeah, like I went over to help set up and like put like some like plastic and like sheets down, and I was sort of like, oh, no,
not plastic.
I feel like the person hosting needs to be like, if my couch gets ruined, it gets ruined. I have a lot of money for a couch. Like, I think it just we need to do what we can, though it is not, to make it feel
also, I'm sorry, but putting plastic down to me reads so LA.
I know. To me, it reads very actually Long Island.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, totally,
you know,
totally.
We're not quite in the same for the same reasons, but
yeah.
I know. And
It's
so for that
certainly
reason, I think I'm out on like big queer sex parties for now.
For now.
Please keep me in the loop.
Yeah, put me on the mailing list.
I want to know.
I sort of am like, I'm going to have a second wave of being interested when I'm like 45. And I'm going to be like, this is who I am. This is a new chapter of my sexual life.
I listened to this podcast with some 50-year-old woman who wrote an article about refining her sexuality in middle age. And I was like, ooh, that's going to be so me. I can't wait.
It could be.
Well, I feel like
I already have it.
Yeah.
I just want to find it double.
You want to find it double? Yeah.
Oh,
no,
right.
totally.
That could be generational. Yeah, I think we might have already done it.
Yeah. No, that's true.
No, that's a really good point. It's so crazy to be one of the horniest guys on earth and then be like, I can't wait to find my sexuality.
Yeah, it's like we might have dug around.
You kind of did it.
We kind of dug through it. I feel what is left for me to discover.
I want to bring something into the conversational space, which is Cards Against Humanity.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
I hate that you're bringing that up.
Because I don't think I've ever even played it.
Really? Do you not have cousins? Or?
Yeah, what's the deal?
We were like more of like an apples to apples.
Oh, sure.
Are they younger than you? Or?
All my cousins are my age, but we're sort of too old for Cards Against Humanity. But then like
I feel like we're the exact right age when it came out when we were like in college.
Got it.
Don't you think? Right?
Roughly.
I guess the only reason I bring it up is because to me it's so emblematic of the larger narrative of games being straight or gay, where if you need straight people need structure to be witty and random.
Yes.
Whereas a gay person's already going to say a slur.
That's what I feel. Cards Against Humanity feels so straight because it's like, it's kind of naughty. Like,
exactly.
It's kind of like,
it's naughty, but it was already written down on a card that you're picking. Just say like, the baby fell down the stairs. And then
I know.
There you go. You did it.
And then even that becomes like such a brand of humor that makes me like feel like such a hater.
Yeah.
It really makes me hate.
Well,
and it's the absolute only exception to that is the millennial urge to joke about 9/11. Like I'll let any sort of normie kind of person throw a 9/11 in there and be like, like go for it, whatever, you know.
You love a 9/11 joke.
It makes me feel closer to my peers.
I agree. I agree.
I think it's like a weird way. Like I think we do it in a really irreverent way, and it's so tired now to joke about 9/11. But I also think it's like, I can't think too hard about it, but like, yeah, we're probably traumatized.
Yeah, it was a defining event of our childhood.
To be that young and like be processing that, it's like we're probably so traumatized that we're kind of claiming it and being like, I'll be joking about this for the rest of my life. You know? It unites us.
Cards Against Humanity. It's like I'm just realizing that like HR rules apply to most day-to-day like straight socializing spaces.
100%.
Which is why there's sort of like locker room talk even, because it's like you have to be like in a space where only like the boys are to like actually have a conversation.
Well, yeah, I don't want to hear like someone's boyfriend. Like, but do you play Cards Against Humanity?
Yeah.
Well, Cards Against Humanity is like intellectual strip poker. It's like in the way that strip poker, you're like, this is a safe space to literally take off your pants and show your gross tighty whities. Cards Against Humanity, it's like you can make a fat joke and no one's going to be mad at you,
Yes.
which we know is all you've been wanting to do this whole
That's what they
time.
so when and when you see someone get too excited, it's the same feeling.
Yeah.
It's sort of the same feeling of like, play it cool. God, oh my God. Jeez.
Totally.
Like when you see the glee, it's sort of like, I can't possibly do this. And you always know the place it's coming from.
Yeah.
You can always tell.
It's not me. It's on the card. It's on the card.
There's also something, the jokes, it's like, I don't want to be such a snowflake that I'm like, the jokes are homophobic, but the glee with which, for example, people will pick an AIDS joke in Cards Against Humanity, you know what I mean? It's all jokes that are like things we are technically not allowed to make fun of because of PC culture.
Yeah.
But because we are in this rec room, we can.
They owe like 10% of everything they've ever made to South Park.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's also just like they just took that sense of humor and put it on cards.
Yeah.
But also South Park, not to defend South Park, but
please, I would like for you to.
And also as someone who has recently been actually watching Family Guy for the first time.
Yeah, I've never
and really enjoying it, except for a few really, really bad moments.
This was me watching South Park this is me watching Family Guy last night in the hotel room.
Oh my God, you were not enjoying?
Not even a little bit.
Really?
Completely. Like they'll make like the most random joke of all time.
Yeah.
I can't get into it either, but I do, and I haven't probably watched South Park in a good couple of years, but I at least remember having the experience, and maybe it was college, of being like, they're geniuses.
I was
They're
gagging
geniuses.
upon South Park.
Oh, okay. So
South
you're
Park
more.
was my fave.
Yeah, I think it's incredible.
I wonder what it is. I need to try South Park as an adult because I remember when I was a kid and everyone would watch South Park. I did not get it. I was like, this is too, like, it's almost like cringe or something. Like it's too awkward cringe humor, and it made me feel bad. Whereas Family Guy, there was something about, I could grasp onto what it was satirizing, which was like the family sitcom, and that gave enough context that I felt like I had something to grasp onto.
For me,
South Park felt nihilist, I guess what I'm saying.
But I like that.
I like that too, and I do think
they
they've changed the way that they it evolved over time.
Okay.
Like I do think South Park used to be like in the beginning, I think it was sort of like shocking for the sake of it in a lot of ways, and then they started to it started to be more like commentary and get really clever, and they were like really really smart about it in a way where you're like, damn, that's like a really good episode of what a great
All right, I'm gonna go home and watch South Park.
I think probably right.
I think you should. I also with Family Guy, it's hard not to just be like, this is just Seth MacFarlane. Like it's like one egotistical man.
No, it is.
Right.
Yes, it is.
So it's hard sometimes to enjoy it.
Seth MacFarlane is such a fascinating figure in both straight and gay culture, don't you think? Because
How in gay culture?
Because think about
Great
he is
question,
literally
honestly.
he's obsessed with musicals and show tunes.
Okay.
Oh,
He put out an album of jazz standards.
Damn, got us.
He's so
Gaga.
what he really wants.
Gaga vibes.
Gaga vibes. Literally, Tony Bennett.
What he really wants is to be a cabaret star. It's like how Donald Trump wants to be a Broadway producer and wants to produce Cats.
Right.
Like Seth MacFarlane wants to be like in a suit with a little what are those hats called?
Top hat or a
Top
fedora?
hat. Thank you.
Oh.
With a top hat and a little cane and being like da 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 and like hosting the Tonys.
He could today.
I know.
Could he not?
In fact, he has hosted the Oscars, I think.
Yeah, I feel like he could do that immediately. To me, that's how, as an outsider, I perceive him. I think.
But then it's like his mode of expressing that to be a non-PC animated comedy is so like taking the gay and making it straight, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, even when he did host the Oscars, this is the exact thing you're
He made the
talking
joke about
he did the song and dance
about
number
boobs.
about boobs.
Yeah, totally.
And it was like, ugh.
But don't you think that? No, I agree, and that was bad. But that is what's so fascinating. It's like you have this gay instinct to do a show tune about actresses.
That's
And then you're like, fuck, I can't be gay.
What's my angle?
I'm gonna make it about their boobs.
It does seem, like a kind of a weirdly closeted choice
It's crazy
to make it work. But also that could be a real person. Like,
and it is.
And it is.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like, if I don't know. I don't understand what being gay in Hollywood is like, even as a gay person in Hollywood. Like, what are the rules?
No, it's literally like you think you learn the rules, and then someone will be like, by the way, don't come out.
Literally.
Like, what?
Yeah, truly, genuinely, I remember when I got, like, I kind of came out, like, right before I started, like, getting work. And then I started getting work, and my girlfriend at the time was sort of like, right, but, like, obviously, like, you can't be, like, gay in Hollywood. And I was like, oh, like, I already came out, but I feel like I have sort of, like, really broad appeal. Like, I think I have, like, Julia Roberts appeal.
Totally.
And she was like, no, like, you won't because you came out. And I was like, why wouldn't you, like, tell me that before I came out? And, like, let me make the choice. I think you should have brought this up to me, like, because I didn't know. So I think you should have brought this up to me before I, like, made the choice officially. And maybe I would have stayed closeted and, like, dated, had, like, a beard, you know? But it's too late, so well.
I mean, you can honestly still kind of go back in, people.
Right. Well, it's happening now.
It's happening.
It's happening now.
So.
Well, it's been so interesting because in a way I have, and then in a way I don't think that I have. In that, like, my partner is a trans guy, and so I've been doing a lot of, like, my boyfriend, and yet. I think I would like some credit for that. I think I would like some.
You want some credit?
I think I would like some credit for, like, she's
that.
like, oh, is she straight? You know, I think I would like a little bit of, like, yeah, let's play it both ways a little bit, maybe. But when you go in that direction, it kind of feels like it's like, well, you can't really do, you can't go back.
Yeah, my friend Maddie has a joke that's like, she first identified as bi and was in a lesbian relationship, and then her partner transitioned, and the punchline of the joke, which I'm going to butcher, is like, you really can't escape your fate as a bi girl to have a boyfriend. Like, right, I did everything in my power.
You're getting one.
Yeah,
you'll be getting one. And it does, and it obviously still functions really gay, but the terms I'm using, I'm sort of found myself letting it absolutely rip with straight friends and straight relationships just being sort of like, our guys, right? Like, straight girl stuff. And you can tell that they don't see it the same way, but they know they're not allowed to sort of be like, it's not the same. The relationship is different. Like, you could tell that they're not. And I'm like, right, girls? We're the same. Functions the same. Feels the same.
Wow.
This is very, like, have you seen the Stepford Wives remake with Nicole Kidman?
Of course I have.
When there's one gay couple, but they're clearly, like, one is the man and one is the woman.
Yes.
And the like, butch one is with the men, like, complaining about their wives.
Yes. Yeah, it is. And sometimes it is like that.
Sometimes it do be like that.
Sometimes it really is like that. Like, I wouldn't want, even if I were, like, had, like, a cis boyfriend, I wouldn't want a boyfriend that I couldn't, like, queen out with or something. Like, that would be... That
is the most, like, TikTok thing.
I need a queen out
having
with my
a boyfriend
BF.
you can queen out with.
I need a what are they, like, when bi-wife energy was a thing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna need that. I need a bitchy boyfriend for sure.
Bitchy boyfriend. Well,
Get ready with me while I
it's
clean
like
out with
we
my
were
boyfriend.
talking
Clean out
about
my
how there
beef.
must be women. We've already talked about this, but there must be women whose fetish is a gay guy, and so they make their straight boyfriends, like, act gay.
Yeah, they make them. Sure. Yeah, they're making them. Yeah, okay. Those guys are so excited. I feel like it's so funny how, like, girlfriends are such a safe space for boyfriends to just be like, when you were like, I think, like, labels or whatever you were saying, like, labels are, like, whatever, they're detrimental. And it's like, they literally are. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
The way I've seen, and it's been a long time since I've had a cis boyfriend, but the unclenching that happens when they're able to sort of, like, really a couple months in, be this genderless thing that a cis man becomes when he has a long-term girlfriend that loves him.
This is so interesting. Yeah. I've never considered this in my life.
Yeah.
I've never thought about the metamorphosis of a man in a relationship with a woman.
It is, yeah.
It's like essentially like when a gay guy has an older sister.
Wow, I guess it's
wow,
probably pretty similar.
So
yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Straight men having a girlfriend is like gay men having an older sister.
Yes. It brings out a beautiful side of them. It brings out something really, really beautiful and gorgeous.
It's so interesting because the conventional narrative is like men almost, it's like having a girlfriend or a wife affirms their masculinity. That's the conventional narrative. So, and that's why, you know, quote unquote, incels are so unhappy because they have nowhere for their masculinity to go. But you're actually, and here I'm looking for a word, you are interrogating that, let's say.
Oh, wow. Good word.
By saying, no, a straight man having a girlfriend or wife actually allows him to to become genderless.
Yes.
And that's why incels are more masculine.
They kind of are.
They need somewhere to put their masculinity.
It depends on what you think masculinity means.
Totally. Oh.
But I always think of like, as someone who, has had experience, like, to me, yeah, I think that's really true. I think of like, obviously gay guys are like the most masculine because I think that you're being really honest about your desire for like a partner who is masculine, like a masculinity in a partner, which I do think a lot of straight guys want or are attracted to masculinity.
Sure.
I think a lot of people, I think like obviously because of the patriarchy, like society, we're all attracted to masculinity. Everybody is. Gay people, like all like lesbians, everybody like to some degree is. And so you are kind of like, I think it's like so honest to be like, I'm a guy who wants a guy. Like that's as masculine as you can get. And then it's sort of like, yeah, if you're what do you mean you're dating a woman? Like,
yeah, fag.
What do you mean? Yeah. What do you mean? Like what do you mean you're using her shower products? Like, I don't know. I'm like always, I think I've never had a boyfriend who wasn't excited to do like girly things with me.
Wow.
And to admit that you love a woman is like, that's why I'm like always like femme for femme relationships really blow my mind. I go, you're powerful. And I wish I could do that.
That is really powerful.
It's so powerful. I really wish I could be in a femme for femme relationship, and it's just never naturally really found me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it was just really common. It's like a very rare type of lesbian, to do that.
Well, then why are they all over my TV screen?
Can I? You know what's so interesting?
If it's so rare, then why is that the one in films and TV?
Wait a minute, that's a good cue.
Okay, hear me out. Go with me on this. There's this horseshoe theory where it's like femme for femme relationships are both the male fantasy of like two chicks making out, but then also horseshoe around the most empowered women.
Yes.
Who are like, we are femme for femme.
Yes.
And we are rejecting all masculinity.
Well, but also it's sort of like the male fantasy of that is like two straight femme women.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like two women who are doing the very sort of like male gazy sort of like whatever. Femme for femme in lesbian terms is like, you have to think chaperone. You have to think like a girl with a little boo hanging from her ear. And for them,
men don't exist.
Yeah, no. And it's like, it's very much, it also is that full circle thing of now we're doing like, it's almost like when I think like high femme lesbian, it's like drag a little.
Yes.
It's a little drag. And you can, and it's also very clockable, like a very femme gay woman, you can tell. Because there's because there's something about straight men where they go, not too much, don't do too much.
Yeah.
So when you see too much, you go, that's for a girl. They're looking to trap a girl.
Yeah. Men, it's more sweatpants, hair tied, chilling with no
makeup on. Because they're very straight men, and straight men live in a scary world where girls are constantly trying to trick them and trap them.
It's crazy.
They are trying to trick and trap those guys. Makeup, who did that? Who invented that? Absolute ruse. I used to be really... I went through a phase where I loved to watch YouTube videos by like old men talking about how not to get tricked in the Philippines.
Whoa.
And it was very much like, what do you mean tricked, honey?
Yeah.
What are you doing over there? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean tricked? Like, you're like to do like weird sexual tourism and then just be like, she doesn't necessarily love you. It's very like 90 Day Fiance, not 90 Day Fiance, or 90 Day Fiance or something where it's kind of like you looked for something, you found it, and then you're like, mad when it's transactional, and it's kind of like,
whoa,
it is what it is. But I love guys,
and I love guys too.
I love guys,
and I actually think we need to have a conversation about masculinity in this country. Well,
should we do our final segment?
Yeah. Any final thoughts on game night?
I kind of feel like game night how I feel about sex parties, where it's like I'll probably say no, but I would like to be kept in.
I feel the same way.
Yeah,
and I will say yes 1 out of every 12 times.
Yeah. I'll be like, who's going to be there?
If like the dinner party leading up to the game is really fun, I'll do it.
Oh, they're feeding you?
Sometimes.
Oh.
Sometimes.
I have to get married. It's like a whole different world.
No, you got to try it.
I proudly don't have a single game in my house.
I'm trying to think if I do. I don't think I do either.
We did it.
Do you have one?
Well, in LA, yeah, because I live with a games girl.
Rare.
So it's not your fault.
It's not. And we're never touching them. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
We got one pack of cards we're using, and that's pretty much it.
Cards are a little more fun.
Sushi Go.
Yeah. Sushi Go. I played.
Our final segment is called Shoutouts, and we pay homage to the grand straight tradition of the radio shoutout, shouting out to anything that we are enjoying, people, places, things, ideas. We make them up on the spot. George, do you have one?
Yes.
Okay, you kick us off.
What's up, cinephiles and Letterboxd users? I want to give a shout out to the film Happiness by Todd Solondz, which I had never seen before in my life. And there's a new 4K restoration. And it was playing, and there was a Q&A with Todd Solondz, who was a kooky guy afterwards. And whatever happened to Lara Flynn Boyle? Whatever happened to Lara Flynn Boyle?
What? Did she retire?
Talk about how women with long black hair, like our guest, are persecuted?
Maybe.
I'll say.
Maybe.
Where is she?
Where is she?
She is one of the great actresses of her generation. She's competing with some of the greats in that movie, and she's holding her own. She's so funny. She lands every punchline. It is a masterpiece beginning to end. Todd Solondz cannot get any funding right now, and yes, partly that's because he's kind of a crazy character, but it's also because our industry is dying, and we actually need to rebuild it from the bottom up, and we need to bring back Lara Flynn Boyle, and she needs to be in a new film written and directed by a kind of crazy male auteur. And that is my final request.
Woo, woo. I would love to see that.
I would love to see that as well.
Have you seen Happiness?
No.
Have you?
No.
It's like crazy. Do you know
I know
I
nothing
just
about
heard someone talking about this too. Maybe
well, I think because it's like back in theaters.
Yes.
It's from like 1998, but it's like one of the early Philip Seymour Hoffman performances. Dylan Baker is in it, and he plays a pedophile.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Someone was just talking about that. Yes. Okay. I know, and no one had mentioned Lara Flynn Boyle to me.
No,
previously.
See, that's part of
doesn't get the respect.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. What's up, freaks, losers, and perverts around the globe? I want to give a huge shout out to having a plane tradition. A tradition for when you're on an airplane. For me, I have been, for the last few years, every time I'm on an airplane, I'm watching Curb Your Enthusiasm. I have never seen Curb Your Enthusiasm on land. I only see it in the air, and now it brings up like a memory of all the other times I've traveled because it's something I do every time I'm on an airplane. I don't know who's in charge of putting on different seasons of Curb Your Enthusiasm on the planes, but they deserve a raise because every time I'm on a plane, season 4, season 6, season 10, it's completely random how they decide what season is on at any given time, and yet I've never seen the same episode twice. I'm jumping through time. It's one of the most, it's so comforting to watch on a plane, I think, due to you're just sort of like in a space of discomfort anyway, so you're like, okay, why not just lean into it and be kind of cranky with Lair? And I think whatever your plane tradition is, you need to find for yourself. But this, for me, I start watching Curb Your Enthusiasm and I say, I'm going to be okay. I'm on a plane.
I love it.
Wow. And that's not a feeling a lot of people are having on the plane lately.
No.
Per the doors falling off and
Per
stuff.
all the doors and the explosions and whatnot.
Per that type of stuff.
Which is rampant.
Don't watch the recent season of The Rehearsal if you're getting on a plane.
It actually did make me afraid of landing.
Oh, okay. And we won't get into it too much, but the reenactments where you see the plane like land incorrectly and immediately burst into flames.
It's very scary.
The first time I got on a plane after watching the first couple episodes, as we were landing, my brain automatically filled it in with like, and then we catch on fire.
I'm also just like, my brain tries to imagine, like, I'm like, okay, maybe if I like, think about what it would be like to be on fire, I can like get used to the idea. And I'm like, no, what would this look like? Like I'm on fire and I'm wearing headphones. What happened? Are they melting into
and you're
my
watching
head?
Curb, sort of.
Oh my God, they're melting into your head. Ew.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
I better die fast, but I don't think you do.
No, I don't think you do.
Wait, that's kind of iconic though, in a sort of like a Beetlejuice or like a deeper cut, like a wrist cutter sort of way, a movie where you see how people died. Like you would have earbuds.
It's very Final Destination.
Yes, like
Final Destination when they die in
earbud.
Yeah, when they die in the tanning bed.
I love a wrist cutters reference.
Yeah. Not a lot of people referencing wrist cutters, but it's part of the canon of movies. Where shout out to movies where they have that take place in the afterlife, at least partially, and you can see how the person died. The Sixth Sense, the Beetlejuice movies, Wrist Cutters, A Love Story, full title. It's one I recommend recommend a lot. I haven't seen it in years. I hope it's good, but I think it's probably really good.
Probably.
I think it's a really good, really clever, cute movie for something that's pretty dark, actually.
Yeah. Well,
wow. Yeah. So many film and television recs today.
Of course. Yeah. No, there's like a specific era of indie movie that it's just like when I was in college, so I was watching indie movies.
Yes.
Where I'm like, no, there's only 10 indie movies. And it's like, no, it's just the 10 that were that
at that moment
2-year period.
And it's a little, if I recall, it's a little twee. You know, there's a
sure.
It's a tad.
If you like Wrist Cutters: A Love Story, you may have tickets to the Mumford and Sons.
You'll be going to see Mumford and Sons.
The power
you may have seen Haim in 2011.
Yeah, you saw them live.
The power that Juno and Little Miss Sunshine have over our exact demographic.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah,
because Elliot Page is like around. Like especially in New York, he lives in the Upper West Side, and it's like. You have well, actually, he probably does have an idea. People probably come up to him all the time. But it's like Juno changed the game
in a huge way.
It did.
In a huge way.
It did. It also was lately I've been coming back around. Like there was that first wave of sort of like shame of aging about like, you know, when like Gen Z are kind of more like the main demographic right now. And I feel old and our things are old. And then sometimes I'll talk to people younger than me and it's kind of like, oh man, it like sort of does rock to be a millennial. Like it actually is amazing. Like one time someone was like, you guys are so lucky you had like Britney Spears club era in college or like.
And I'm like, that's true. That was amazing.
So true. Like G6 and stuff. Like we
dancing till the world ends.
Kesha. Like there's just so many phases of our like childhood and young adulthood that it's kind of like, God, that did rule. And it was scary, but it ruled.
The worst part is I remember, we'll end so soon. I remember being in college and being like Bad Romance coming out and being like, wow, I'm in college when Bad Romance.
Yes.
Like, this is something that not many people get to have.
I actually felt that way about seeing Spring Breakers in theaters.
Oh.
I was like, fuck.
God. Things were just for us and it felt good.
Oh, that was awesome. Well, Taylor, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We're horrible at the job of promotion. I don't know if there's anything
please
you would
promote,
like to plug and promote.
any and all things.
Is there any and all things out there to promote? Please watch Another Simple Favor on Amazon Prime and 4 Seasons on Netflix and Ghosts on Hulu if you want to.
She's multi-platform.
Wow, multi-platform.
I'm trying to get on all the platforms.
And we don't have time, but obviously off mic, you have to tell us which of those is Esty, which is Danielle, and which one.
Oh my God, yeah, I will. Oh, that's so hard. Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye. StraightioLab is a production by Will Ferrell's Big Money Players Network and iHeart Podcasts.
Created and hosted by George Civeris and Sam Taggart.
Executive produced by Will Ferrell, Han Sani, and Olivia Aguilar.
Co-produced by Bei Wang.
Edited and engineered by Adam Avalos.
Artwork by Michael Fales and Matt Grubb.
Theme music by Ben Kling.